Welcome back to another Mean Streets of Gadgetzan card review. This is the final review, so let's get into it. All right, onto the warrior cards. We have a 2-mana 0/7 with taunt called Public Defender. Not sure about this card, to be honest. I think in Arena this could actually be decent. This could really hold off a lot of aggression from some decks in Arena, especially since it's only 2 mana. You're definitely gonna play it, you're gonna see it. In Constructed though, I'm not 100% sure. I wanna call it bad, but there's a part of me that also thinks that there could be sort of a niche deck that utilizes this. Obviously they've been trying to push the taunt thing with Warrior for a while, and it still hasn't really caught on. I still don't know if it will, but aside from that, I do think that maybe there's a place for this in some kind of a Warrior deck for early game. I want to say maybe a control deck even, you know, just early game stall, you know, much like what a Doomsayer does, you know, except that it's not going to remove the board, it's just going to stall things on the board, maybe allowing your opponent to flood the board more for a better brawl, something like that. I don't know, maybe not, maybe it won't see any constructed play at all. Next we have a 2-mana spell called Sleep with the Fishes. And this says, deal 3 damage to all damaged minions. So you definitely wouldn't want to play this in a Grim Patron deck, as that would just be very counterproductive. However, that being said, I mean this is a board clear, you know, with obviously you have to combine it with another card, or having traded into some things maybe with your face, maybe to work that way. But you know, you could also use Whirlwind or Ravaging Ghoul combined with this, so a 3-mana board clear or a 5-mana board clear. It's another tool for control decks for sure. So now we have the Warrior Legendary. Get ready for this. It's a big 2-mana 2/2. I think this is actually the smallest. I want to say it's the smallest class legendary to date. Not 100%, but it's definitely one of the smallest. It's called Hobart Grapple Hammer, and he has a battle cry of give all weapons in your hand and deck +1 attack. Seems pretty decent. It definitely has synergy with very aggressive warrior decks, I think, much like the pirate warrior deck that we saw for a while. That was just, you know, super hyper aggressive, had lots of taunts, or lots of charging minions, lots of weapons in the deck. So I think this would fit in well with that. I'm not 100% how good this card is, but it'll definitely be experimented with. I don't think it's on a whole as good as some of the other warrior legendaries, but I don't know, we'll see. Maybe it'll be batshit crazy good. So, but definitely cool, you know, see the smaller legendaries that still have, you know, somewhat powerful effects. So cool. Moving on to the neutral cards, there were quite a few of them released. First up we have Ancient of Blossoms, a 6-mana 3/8 with taunt. So this is slightly more expensive Fen Creeper. 1 more mana for 2 more health. I don't know. I mean, it probably won't see much constructed play. You'll see it in Arena though. It'll be an annoying taunt, you know, to have to get through. Nothing spectacular, but it's a card. Next up we have Blubber Baron, 3-mana 1/1. Again, those weird stat lines. Whenever you summon a battle cry minion while this is in your hand, gain +1/+1. I think this is just a bad card, honestly. I guess you'd want to play in a battle cry deck. However, this has to be in your hand to get the effect. So a lot of conditions. And for what? You know, a buffed up minion, slightly. I mean, maybe at the most. I don't know. Like, say you get this in your hand at the beginning of the game. You have a 1-mana battle cry minion. You have a 2-mana battle cry minion. On turn 3, this is a 3/3 for 3. I don't know. It seems pretty garbage to me unless I'm missing something, but I don't think it's a good card. And again, another epic card slot wasted on a shitty card. Next up we have Defy Cleaner. 6-mana 5/7. So 6/6 worth of stats in total. Kind of distributed a little strange, but, you know, not the end of the world. Battle Cry, silence a minion with Death Rattle. So I guess this is kind of a tech card, but it's a very specific tech card because it only silences Death Rattle minions. And while, yes, there are a lot of Death Rattle minions still in the game, effects like this are more about the effect and not about the body attached to it most of the time. So you could just play like a Spellbreaker in your deck if you really wanted a silence effect. And that silence effect is not conditional upon anything. It can silence any minion. And it's only 4 mana. And it's a 4/3 body. It's not terrible. I mean, it's not the best, but it's not terrible. Another epic card. God damn it, Blizzard. Okay, moving on. Gadgetzan Socialite. 2 mana, 2/2, Battle Cry, restore 2 health. So this is like a Voodoo Doctor, except 1 more mana, 1 more health. I don't know, nothing exciting. Probably won't see constructed play at all. You'll see it here and there in Arena. It'll be handy in Arena when you see it sometimes, I'm sure. You'll usually heal a minion with it to get better value trades and things. It's a filler minion, but it's not terrible for Arena for sure. Next up we have a legendary called Gonzo the Shark. This is a 4 mana 5/4, so not terrible stats, just kind of reversed, but you know, again, not terrible. Whenever this attacks, both players draw until they have 3 cards. So this is kind of like a Jeeves mechanic, except that it requires this to attack. So on the surface, it doesn't seem that great, but I actually do really see this being played in like an aggressive paladin deck that usually suffers some card draw anyway, or maybe even actually really any really aggressive deck other than like a warlock, like maybe like the pirate warrior or an aggressive hunter deck that just really needs card draw, and this sort of provides a good way to do that in a decently statted body. I think this could be a good minion. I think obviously it still remains to be seen, but I think it has potential. So next card is another legendary called Mayor Noggin Fogger, 9 mana 5/4. Look at those stats, garbage, complete and utter garbage. Paying 5 more mana to get the same stats as the last card we talked about. So you're thinking, yeah, this ability better be really good. So here it is. All targets are chosen randomly. Yep, that's it. That's 9 mana worth of a card. Yeah. Probably gonna dust this if I get it. Okay, next we have a really good card, and it's a common. Naga Corsair, 4 mana 5/4. Solid stats. It's a pirate. Battle Cry, give your weapon +1 attack. Awesome. So this will help, you know, with that other rogue pirate in a rogue deck to get your weapon attack up to 3. So it can be a 9/9 when it comes into play, whatever. But it's just a solid pirate. Good stats. Pirate. Decent Battle Cry. Yeah. It's a solid card. It's a good card in Arena too. Especially for Rogue, because Rogue has the ability to, not always, but you know, very reliably have a weapon. So anytime you can buff your weapon in Rogue and Arena, you're doing really well. I guess the only slight drawback is that it's, you know, it's a higher casting cost, so you can't really, it's harder to combo it with other cards, but still a solid card. Next up we have Red Mana Worm, 5 mana 2/6, so 4/4 with the stats in total for 5 mana. Not the best. Whenever you cast a spell, gain +2 attack. So similar to a regular Mana Worm, but very, very much slower. I don't think this card's, it's not good. It's really not. It's way too expensive for what it's trying to do. It doesn't start out with a very high attack. The reason why Mana Worm works so well is because it's 1 mana. You can combo it with a lot of their cheap spells and get it buffed up very quickly to a very scary level where you can close out the game, you know, or trade into much bigger minions. This is just way too slow for what this is trying to do. I mean, the turn you play it, turn 5, right? Most likely not gonna have a spell to combo it with, but if you do, okay, then you played a 5 mana 4/6. It's okay. It's not the greatest thing in the world though. So then you have to play one more spell to get it to be a 6/6 for 5 mana. At the minimum, that's 4 cards in all to get this to be a good stat line, right? And if you're lucky, those are all 0 mana spells. Probably not going to happen. Those are probably going to cost mana as well. It's not a good card. It's really not a good card in Arena either because, you know, the inconsistency of how many spells you can get in your deck. It's really going to limit you to how well you can combo with this card, so not a good card. All right, we have another Pirate. This is a 1 mana 1/2. Small time Buccaneer. Has +2 attack while you have a weapon equipped. Holy shit. You know, maybe not as amazing in Constructed, but in Arena, this has some implications, I think. Granted, it's a rare, so won't see it as much, but this is a good card in Arena for sure. You probably still see it in some Pirate decks in Constructed. It's not a bad card. I mean, it being a 1 mana card, this is huge. So basically, it's a 3/2 while you have a weapon equipped. In Rogue, this card is so ridiculous. Man, I think Pirate decks are definitely going to be a thing in this coming meta. The only real question is, can they survive the domination of Priest? Can any deck survive the Priest domination? Next up, we have another Legendary called Sergeant Sally. It's a 3 mana 1/1, so again, garbage stats. But let's see what its effect is. Death Rattle, deal damage equal to this minion's attack to all enemy minions. Pretty cool. It's a board clear built into itself, and especially with all the grimy goon stuff, buffing stuff in your hand before it even gets played. Seems decent. Hell, even in like a zoo deck, getting a temporary buff on this and then, you know, running it into some stuff and killing it off, like, you could clear a board fairly easily. I think it could be decent. Could be a decent card. Remains to be seen. Not terrible. I like the design of it. It's a minion board clear built into it. It's kind of cool. And especially because it doesn't damage your own minions like a lot of these kind of things do. Like Abomination and that Ghoul card that I can't think of right now that had Taunt that deals 1 damage to everything as a Death Rattle. But this is your enemy's minions, so that's really cool. Okay, we have another demon. The Street Trickster. 3 mana 0/7. Spell damage +1. This is not a good card. Okay, moving on. We have a Streetwise Investigator. 5 mana 4/6. Battle Cry. Enemy minions lose stealth. So this is a very specific tech card. Pretty much only against Rogue. Since Rogue is getting all these stealth things and trying to do stealth decks or whatever. Kind of a really hard counter too. I don't know. It doesn't seem that good. It's very techy for sure. So I guess if Stealth Rogue is a thing, you'll see this in a bunch of decks, and then Stealth Rogue won't be a thing, and then you won't see this. It could have its instances in Arena. It's not great, but whatever. It's a card. Next we have a really cool card, I think. Weasel Tunneler. It's a 1 mana 1/1. I usually don't get excited about 1 mana 1/1s, but this has a Death Rattle of shuffle this minion into your opponent's deck. And that is such a cool thing to me. It's very reminiscent of Excavated Evil, where deal 3 damage to all. There's a pre-spell where you deal 3 damage to all minions on the board, and then you shuffle the card into your opponent's deck, right? That at least, you know, can give your opponent a board clear opportunity, which isn't great, but the main thing about that is that it really affects what your opponent's deck is trying to do. This is an epic card. You're not really going to see it in Arena anyway. Don't pick it in Arena. It's not good in Arena. And Constructed, however, since you have decks that you specifically make around specific cards or a specific idea, you're trying to draw into those cards to do those things, right? And drawing into a card like this, that's a 1 mana 1/1, that ruins, that completely ruins what your opponent's trying to do. Now, with that said, this definitely needs to be put into a certain kind of deck. I could actually see this in Zoo. I could see this, I mean, it's a beast, so it's, you know, definitely an hunter kind of deck. A lot of kind of aggressive decks. I could definitely see this even in like an aggressive paladin deck. You can combine this with whatever the hell that card is that allows you to draw 3 1/1s out of your deck. You know, even if it doesn't do a whole lot of damage when it's on the board, I don't think that's as big of a deal most of the time, because really, with aggressive style decks, all the damage matters. You're just trying to go to face as much as possible anyway. So the more you can do that, the better. And if you can actively have minions that deal damage, and then when they die, help to prevent your opponent from getting the cards they need and continue to stay alive, you know, to get that clutch card in that clutch moment before they lose the game. Instead, they draw a Weasel Tunneler. That would piss me off. So I really like the card a lot. I don't 100% know if it'll see play, but I'm gonna experiment with it. I think it's cool as hell. So the very last card we have is another legendary, and this one's a pretty big one. It's called Wrathion. And actually, when I first saw this, I saw on Twitter, and I saw somebody else posted it. I think it was Tice. I thought it was fake, to be honest, but it's not. It's 6 mana 4/5, so the stats aren't great, but it has taunt, and it has a battle cry of draw cards until you draw one that isn't a dragon. So wow, so dragon decks now have some card draw attached to a decent body minion. And from what I saw, or heard rather, so I guess the only downfall, or one negative about this card, is that every dragon you draw, I guess your opponent sees. So I'm not 100% sure if they see the exact dragon, or if it's just that they know it's a dragon because you keep drawing cards. I didn't really get that exactly off the information I got, but I guess, you know, obviously if they keep drawing a card after they play this, you're drawing dragons in your hand, right? But I thought I read that they get to see the specific dragon, which, you know, is kind of a setback. It's not that big of a deal, I guess. It's a super powerful card for dragon decks for sure. And I believe that's it. I believe I covered everything. If I missed anything, let me know. I think that was all the cards. So yeah, just for a minute, I just want to kind of have some final thoughts about the set overall. So I'm bummed there's no real new game mechanic. With that being said, I think they did do a pretty good job of creating some cool new interactions with the cards, with the existing mechanics they have, which is interesting because it sort of shows you how much room they actually have to design around what they already have. From that standpoint, it makes me excited to see, really excited when they do come out with new mechanics. Each new mechanic can open up even more design space. So I am really excited about the set overall. You know, there's some definitely disappointing things. I think there's a lot of epic cards that aren't good. It did seem like most of the legendaries in this set were decent though, so I like that. You know, like I've said before, I hate it when they make really shitty legendaries and really shitty epics. I understand having shitty cards in the game, but it just feels so bad when you get those things, you know? Especially when you don't have a lot of money to spend on the packs if you are buying packs, you know, to open it up, and on average you get one legendary every 20 packs. So if you buy 20 packs or spend $40 or $50 as it is, and buy 40 packs, you get 2 legendaries, and both of them are shitty legendaries, and you know, you're not too happy. And it's only 400 dust. Legendary is 1600 dust, so I don't know, it's aggravating to me. And granted, I don't even care that much because I spend money on it. I can see how it can be frustrating. The no duplicates thing, I think that Reno Jackson sort of ushered in, it really took off, I think, more than what Blizzard might have thought it would. And it's interesting to see that they're trying to sort of continue that mechanic to build around these cards that, you know, have really powerful abilities. So you're forced to make your deck in certain ways. So hopefully that can continue without Reno Jackson, because Reno Jackson is a really good card, obviously. Like, hey, you know, getting rich feels good for you, not your opponent. And having even more powerful cards to put in that style of a deck is all the better, right? But without Reno Jackson, I do think, you know, some of these decks will be able to stand on their own. Maybe not others, though. So other than that, I don't think I have anything else off the top of my head to say. Mean Streets drops this Thursday, actually, December 1st. So I'm going to be opening packs and streaming probably that day. I'm going to take work off and just have fun. So if you want to check me out on Twitch, that'll be like the first day I've done any streams in a long time. But I think with this new set coming out, I'll be streaming more frequently again and releasing more videos again. So I'll be doing, you know, deck building, gameplay, and stuff like that. So looking forward to it. It's going to be really cool. So yeah, we'll see you when the Mean Streets of Gadgetzan drops on Thursday. Later, guys.